When I was 26 years old, I fell madly in love with a woman I would later get engaged to, only to find out she was cheating on me during the engagement and also had an abortion with someone else's kid. At the time, I just made my first six figures and I was living a very fast life in LA. So I went to Paris to reset. My very first day in Paris, I encountered my ex-fiancée. What intrigued me about her was that when she asked me where I was from, I told her that I was Cameroonian, but I lived in LA. And she says, "Well, I love Cameroon." I rarely meet Cameroonians in America, let alone non-Cameroonians that love Cameroon. So I'm asking her, what is a girl as pretty as you doing in Cameroon? She said she was there volunteering. At that exact moment, I knew I had to take her out on a date. So that week, we went out for dinner. After dinner, we were just like two peas in a pod, spending every day together. The very next week, we were taking a trip to Italy. We actually took this photo in Venice, and we had the very typical European love story. We went to Italy, went to Amsterdam, we were just parlaying every single day in Paris. It was a great time. By the time the trip was over, I knew I wanted to spend more time with her. So when I got back to America, I invited her to come to Christmas. I would buy her ticket, and I'd also buy my family tickets. And this is the first red flag. When I purchased her tickets and I purchased my family tickets, her friend told us that she needs to submit an ESTA so that she can come and visit. Now, an ESTA is a visa for any non-American tourist. Now, a week goes by, no ESTA completed. 2 weeks, it's not done. 3 weeks, nothing. About a month later, she calls me and say, "Hey, can you please contact the agency? My application is still pending." And I said, "Well, when did you submit it?" She submitted it 2 days prior. Long story short, the ESTA was denied. Now, at this point, I realized either I have to give this woman up or I need to actually fully lock in and invest, because I either would be spending thousands of dollars to travel to Paris and coming back and forth, or essentially I can go ahead and just get engaged to her. We can get married. We can have a good life. I knew at that time there was no other woman I ever felt this strongly. And here's what happened next. When her ESTA was denied, she could no longer come to America, and that's a very rare occurrence, especially for a French citizen. So it's either I can get engaged to this woman or I gotta walk away. And I was just so madly in love, we decided, let's get engaged. So we started applying for the K1 visa. Here's our applicant photos. Now, a few months later, I'm going to Paris. I proposed to her. And the very next month, it was my birthday, which she forgot. The reason being, I have two birthdays. I was born April 11th, but my birth certificate is May 21st due to government issues in Cameroon, and the government just changed my birthday. But nonetheless, that's something I'm very adamant about with any woman I'm dating. So when she forgot my birthday, I told myself there's no way I just made the right decision. And I'm seeing the second red flag, but nonetheless, I'm already committed to the decision. I'm trying to make it work. So I was supposed to go to Paris a few months later, but at the time, my business also started taking off. So every single month, I'm getting more clients. It's putting a big burden on me financially, because although I was getting more clients on the front end, I wasn't getting paid until months later. So although I wanted to go to Europe immediately, I had to push the date back so that my business could continue to flow. At the same time, I understood the fact that I'm taking on an alien fiance. Once she's in America, she can't work. So the financial pressures of me protecting this relationship and maintaining it, everything is on me. So I had to push my date back a little by little. But I was hoping that the fact that we're both in love should be understanding of what was going on, especially the fact that I was keeping her updated and very transparent. Gentlemen, second lesson, if you're having any type of financial struggles, you do not need to be getting married, engaged to any woman. If you cannot do it effortlessly, if you need any type of economic help from a woman before you get married to her, it's not going to work. After months of pushing the trip back, she calls me one day and says she wants to end a relationship. Now, although I didn't feel that motivated because she forgot my birthday, she didn't do the ESTA, I just didn't feel valued in the relationship, I still felt responsible for the state of the relationship. And I knew at that moment I needed to fly to Paris to fix it. So I booked a flight within a few weeks to go to Paris. Prior to the trip, my grandmother told me, if anything feels off, come back home. When I arrived in Paris, I was supposed to be there for 2 weeks. I left in 2 days. I was severely depressed. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to leave her house. I didn't want to eat. I just felt completely down, and I knew I had to go. So we decided when I get back to America, we would then decide whether to continue the relationship or to end the engagement. When I got back, we decided to end the engagement. At that moment, I'm severely depressed again. I had to step away from my business because I would just break down in front of people while talking. I didn't want people to see me that weak. I would be driving around the city and I would be crying in my car. So after months of no contact, she reaches out to me on my birthday, of course, and we start speaking. So I'm thinking, you know what? There's hope. This is a moment to where we can rekindle. And she tells me she's actually going to be going to Mexico for one of her friend's birthday. So I'm telling myself, well, if you're going to Mexico, that's really close. We've had all these visa issues. I can just meet you in Mexico. But she says, no, I'm not ready to see you yet. Don't come to Mexico. No problem at all. So then later on that summer, minding my business, I'm in Arizona, Lake Havasu. And I've come across this paper at a random diner that was given to me by an old white man sitting down. He says, hey, son, it's going to be a very long wait. Here's a paper so that you can have something to read during the wait. I said, okay. When I picked up the paper, it said in big bold letters, spend the summer with my ex-fiance. And it brings me to this next phase of my life. Lake Havasu is an oasis in the middle of the desert. So when I came across this paper at a random diner given to me by a random older white male, and it said in bold letters, spend the summer with my ex-fiance, I knew that was God giving me a sign. I needed to go right back to Paris. Because at this time, I'm still lingering. There isn't closure in a relationship. I'm still thinking we have a future. Because once again, this K1 visa is still processing, so there's still some light. So I booked a ticket to go to Paris, and I was trying to surprise my ex-fiance about it. But it was so hard to get her on the phone. When I finally got her on the phone, she says, I need to tell you something. When you wanted to see me in Mexico and I told you no, the reason was I had an abortion. So I'm like, you had an abortion? Like, who kid could it be? Because, I mean, I trust my pull-out routine, and I just don't recall having any type of close call the last time we were together. And she admits that it was the guy she met a month after our relationship. He was a mutual friend of theirs that would be in a friend group that they were all connected to. So I said, okay, no problem. As long as you stop talking to the guy, I'll still come to Paris. She said, yes, absolutely. I'm done talking to him. So I go to Paris, and I'm there thinking that we have a chance. I'm trying to fix it. I'm trying to, see what was wrong. But in that exact moment, she told me she was not faithful. I should have walked away. But for a lot of men, especially if it's your first time getting cheated on, you're going to sit there and try to fix it, because as men, we're always told any issue we deal with, it's our fault. But I'm telling any man right now, if you have a person and they're not faithful to you and you find that out, leave immediately. And I'm going to give the rest of this story in my channel, the TFB Method. When I fly back to Paris, this time I'm getting the red carpet treatment. She booked us a nice boutique hotel, and I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe now she sees the light. Maybe now the relationship can actually work. So we're spending time together, and this is actually a moment where I brought her some flowers. I'm buying a girl that cheated on me flowers, the insanity of it all, right? Now, when we were in Paris, one day we were at dinner, and I was asking her, when's the last time you spoke to this guy? She said, I spoke to him prior to you coming. I said, okay, cool. My very last day in Paris, she's in the restroom, and I'm in her room. Her phone's on the bed. Something's just eating at me saying, check her phone, check her phone. So I decided to check her phone. I look up this French phrase, ça va, and I vaguely remember the guy's name, and I finally see that his name is there. So I look into the messages. Now, she says she met this guy a month after we broke up. We broke up in January, so I'm expecting the messages to start in February. But I'm in January, then I'm in December, November, October, September. I found out in that exact moment she was cheating on me within 6 months of us getting engaged. I thought I was heartbroken before. I'm heartbroken again. And when I admitted her to her that I saw it, at first she was actually angry at me. She was trying to make me feel guilty for discovering it. But then she went through the cycle of the guilt, and then she had the acceptance phase, and then she was sorrowful. And you would think at that moment I would still walk away, but no, I still tried to fix it. Because in my mind, the moment I got engaged, I was a married man, so I wanted to conduct myself in that manner. But as you guys can see, it wasn't possible. And a few months later, we just decided to completely end it, and it was just never contact each other again. And from that moment, I built this entire channel. I built Trust My Baddies Only from learning that if you have a woman that is depleting you of your resources, she's not building with you, she's not bringing any value add, you have no reason to be with her. And that's why it's Trust My Baddies Only. So if you're struggling with your love life, you had a bad breakup, you want to overcome it, DM me app. I will help you not only transition through the bad breakup, but also find your new self. And to not just become a new self, but become the best version of yourself so that you can align with your ideal woman. Trust My Baddies Only.